How much has the Google algorithm changed over the last 5 years?
The funny thing is, if you think about a bell curve, and there's like maybe 80% in the middle, and like 10% on each side, it's the outside parts that has changed the most. The inside part really does not change as much as people think. And the things that you need to do to rank, especially an on page 5 years ago, are basically the same things that you need to do today to rank. Google's still looking at certain paid sections on your page. Some are more important than others. They're still looking at what terms you're using in those areas, and you need to get those counts right in order to have the best chance to rank in the SERPs for your target keywords.
Probably the biggest thing in the last few years would be the addition of AI becoming so popular. So for people that want to make a blog post on their website or like series of blogs, can they just go on ChatGPT, say, give me an SEO optimized article on this topic, and then just get that, and then basically copy and paste and put that on there? And will they stand a fighting chance to rank if they do something like that?
There are two issues there. One is ChatGPT does not know how to do any SEO at all, and so if you could ask it to do SEO, it's not going to help you. While AI can really help you pump out content faster, that's what it does best. Is it helps you generate ideas faster. It helps you get out content faster. But a lot of people have the perception that it's going to help you do good SEO. And the thing is, if you're bad at SEO, the only thing it's going to do is help you do bad SEO faster. It's not going to immediately improve your SEO, and then asking it to do that isn't going to be anything that's going to help you. The other problem is AI isn't really AI. It's a language model. It's guessing at the words that should be there, but essentially it's got all these words sitting over here, and then it's pulling the words out and putting them into content for you, which is essentially just a content spinner. It's not creating anything new. It's just really giving you duplicate content that looks very nice. And as a result, if you were to take content directly from ChatGPT or any AI content generator and put on your site, you run the risk of getting Google angry at you for just posting duplicate content. You didn't add anything new to the conversation. You just spun an article and put it on. And Google hates that. They've hated it for forever. So uh, any content that you get from AI needs to be edited for things like brand, tone, voice, facts. It likes to hallucinate and make up facts. All that needs to happen for you to safely post content that you get as an original draft from AI.
So if you do everything perfect on the page, as far as you got the H1, the H2s, you got your keyword repeating a ton of times in the description, you got your slug set up correctly, the keywords, basically all those tactical things are done correctly for SEO. How much do you still need a ton of backlinks or to run Google ads in order to actually get it to rank?
So that'll vary keyword to keyword depending on its difficulty. But you can get to a point where you feel confident that you've done all that on page can do. And if it's a less competitive term, sometimes that's all you need to do is just the on page, and that'll get you to page one or high page two. And then you need other signals after that. Um, so that's kind of actually something that Pop helps with, is kind of getting you to that confidence point that I've done all the on page that I can. This is as far as on page can go, because there's a point where the sidewalk ends. And then after that, then okay, now we need to do other things. We need to support this with content on our own site and link to it, or we need to find external signals and link in so that Google understands that this is the type of content it should be ranking.
How does Page Optimizer Pro compare to similar programs like Yoast?
Well, Yoast is just going to give you general recommendations. It's not looking at a specific keyword. It's not looking at the SERPs. It's not looking at what Google is currently liking. It's just going to give you some general recommendations that it's a pretty decent first start, but it's not anything that's going to help you be competitive. If you get all greens in Yoast, that's probably a good way to get into the middle of Google results. After that, you're going to need to do more to actually say, like, okay, how many times do I need this keyword, this term for this keyword, not just a general guideline, but actually competitive analysis.
And black hat tactics are completely gone and have been for a long time. Is that right? Any kind of, putting a bunch of keywords that match the text of the color of the background, all those kind of strategies, or
Oh no, those totally work.
they
Those totally
totally
work.
work?
100%, 100%. They've never gone away.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
they, Yeah, they've never gone away. They still work. I wouldn't recommend doing it. And also, it's not just an arms race of stuffing the target term a bunch of times. Something actually you'll notice from Pop is that usually they'll only recommend using the term one time, maybe
Hmm.
not even that within your body content, because the variations of that term do a lot of the heavy lifting in on page. And so it's not just throwing the term on, but if you want to do those old school black hat techniques, they all are still pretty effective.
Do they work until you get caught?
The thing is, if you haven't been too disgusting with it, I think it's almost nearly impossible for Google to catch some of those things. Especially one thing that people don't realize is there are a lot of words that Google will read that aren't visible anyway. So there are a lot of terms within your code that will count towards your on page, and there's a lot that you can do that gets into a pretty fuzzy gray space as to is this something that's actually legitimate, or are you just getting more terms on the page? And some of those are definitely more on the black side than on the white side of things, but they all are all still pretty effective.
What would be a reasonable timeline? I know it depends on how competitive the phrase is and the general size of the market. I know there's a lot of factors to this, but if you're working with a client that says, all right, you got some blog posts going out for us, how soon should we expect to see some traffic from this?
Well, something that we like to do is determine approximately how strong your site is, and not from a third party tool, but actually looking how many clicks you're getting each day. So it's the idea of like how strong are you with the amount of keywords that your site is ranking for, and the amount of traffic that you're receiving, or even really the amount of impressions. Impressions are views, how many times your site is viewed within Google. And then from there, you can kind of determine all right, if we're getting about this much traffic or this many impressions, we can go after keywords that have this type of volume, this type of search volume. And if you do that, if you're staying within that tier, that level, you can get results within 1 month. The farther you get away from that level, so the more volume a particular keyword has versus how much traffic you're getting, that gap then becomes how much longer it's going to take or how much more work you need to do. And so you can kind of start to add months probably per level as you go from there.
Okay. And are you
What
tip?
I want to get back real quick though to what you're talking
Yeah.
about on black hat technique. So last November, I was speaking at Chiang Mai SEO, which is a conference and a big conference here, and it's in Chiang Mai. And uh, I showed some of the stuff that I did back in 2015, and I redid it all, and it all worked still. But the one thing that I showed was ranking a blank page. So you can have an entire page, and you can set it to display none, meaning it's not showing, it's not visible to a user, and that page will still rank. And so, well, again, that's not necessarily anything you want to do. The point is that Google isn't looking at the page the same way you do, or the same way I do. Google's looking at it as Google looks at it as a bot looks at the page. And because it's looking at it as a bot, there are a lot of things that it just simply cannot see. They can't see some of those tactics. That's why it becomes very difficult for Google to catch those things because the bot isn't looking at the page as a human would. And so anything that there's that distinction of like how a human looks at it versus how a bot looks at it, that's where you can exploit things, and all of those tactics are still pretty effective.
That makes total sense to me. I think I was kind of asking the question like, hey, no black hat tactics, right? Because most of the SEO people I've talked to have been very against it. And I kind of
Well,
was under
I'm
the
not
impression.
advocating. I
Oh,
wouldn't do this,
yeah,
but
but they weren't against it from a moral standpoint. They were against it from a like you're gonna get caught and you're gonna have your site penalized kind of standpoint, as if it was like going to manual review, which would not make much sense if Google had that many employees going through manually on every article published ever. Um,
exactly.
is there any like legitimacy to like, oh yeah, if you get caught or whatever, like that's not really a thing. Like the boss don't really detect any kind of black
I
hat
think you would
tactics.
have to be doing some other things that throw up red flags for them to take the time, money, and effort to go physically look at your site. Like have somebody go and take a look and try to determine if you've done something like that. And even then, if they can catch it or not, if they can see it, then because there's still things that are going to be difficult for a human to find that you've done that are problematic. So I think you'd have to be doing a lot of other things for them to notice in the first place. And then after that, I'm not even still sure that you'd be caught.
So there's a lot of e-commerce brands listening to this. and they can do blog posts, and then they can also optimize their product pages. How much would you say like sales can come from you just optimizing your product pages versus needing entire blog articles that promote your product?
Well, one of the guiding principles is the secret is hiding in plain sight. Google shows you the sites that it likes. So search for the term that you're interested in winning and see, is that a product page? Is that a blog post? Is it something else? Is it a listicle? Is it some long form content? Is it some short form content? Is it an experience? Is it like something that somebody needs to do on the page? And then that's the type of page they need to give Google. And you're really fighting an uphill battle if you see that, it's some long form content and you're just trying to optimize your product. It's not going to work. And you're just simply not going to be able to rank that page. So you need to give Google the type of page that it is anticipating for that particular keyword. People like to use the word intent. You can really just see, I don't think you ever have to worry about, you never have to think of what the intent is. You just have to look and see what Google likes, and then Google shows you that's what it thinks the intent is. And then that's the type of page that you need to provide. So it's a very important first step to go look at the results, see what's there, and then that will help you decide what type of content you need to create for a particular type of keyword.
And for product pages ranking, how much do they factor in the amount of sales that that product is getting into the ranking algorithm?
That's a great question. One thing that SEO can't do is make somebody buy. The goal of SEO is to increase views. The analogy I like to give is if you think of a brick and mortar building, a store, like a physical store, and there are people walking by that store. After a certain number walk by, some will go in, just percentage wise, and then while some are in the store, another percentage will buy. The thing that SEO can do the most is increase that traffic walking by. SEO, there's slight effects from SEO on getting more people into the store, and there's slight effects of SEO getting people to buy once they're in. But primarily, the only thing that we can really control, or the only thing that we can really influence, are those views, are the people walking by the store. So I'm not sure how well a product page converts compared to others versus an informational page, as that's not really what I get into. More than anything, what I'm most concerned about is getting as much foot traffic by that as I can, because I know just as percentage wise, people will click into the page and then a certain percentage will buy.
Okay, so Google is more just concerned with a lot of people are clicking the link and they're staying on the page for a considerable amount of time. They're not like, oh, it
That's
looks like they bought like this. Let's put this higher.
That's right.
Okay.
There. I imagine that there are certain user signals that are part of the algorithm. It's hard to nail them down to say like, yes, this is definitively something that Google is using here, and that they're definitely not using this over here. But the more people you can get on the page, the better, generally speaking.
Okay. Cool. So for backlinks, what strategies do you recommend for that on a small scale and on a large scale? So if someone just they're a newer company, they make a blog post. Some ideas that I might have is, yeah, post it on Pinterest because you get a link with that, and post it on your social media story, and just post it everywhere that you can for free. Even if you send an email out with that link, does that really count as a backlink? Or like, tell me about some of those things that people can generally do for free, and then what would be like a big play to do some kind of paid for backlinks.
The social media links will count for something. They're not the strongest links. You can think of links as a vote saying that this is good content. This is what needs to be in the results. Not all votes are equal, though. And something where you're posting to your own social media accounts, that's not going to be worth as much as, say, somebody posting from another website. What you want to consider, though, and you can do analysis on your competitors, is where are your gaps? Are your competitors getting a lot of links from social media, or are they getting no links from social media? And you want to look again. The secret's hiding in plain sight. Google does not play hide the ball. They don't put rando results in there that they're not great results simply to play mind games. They like a certain page because of the on-page SEO, the off-page SEO, or a combination of the two. And so you can see what Google is rewarding. And are they rewarding local links, for example? Are they rewarding .edus? Are they rewarding sites that are getting into big media publication type sites? And so that's the kind of analysis that you want to do. And then that's going to kind of guide you towards, okay, we can focus our time and energy on these because maybe you've got some of those links already. There's no point in redoing them or getting more if you're kind of in the range of where your competitors are, but you realize we don't have any of these types of links. And then that's what you'd want to focus on.
So what would be the promotion that you've got going on with Page Optimizer Pro for people who want to try that out? And then next we'll talk more about uh, your business and how it gets clients and generates revenue and all that fun stuff.
Sure. For anybody listening, we'll give you a code for uh, what did we decide? I can't remember what we decided.
It's like a money back after a week or something like
Yeah, yeah,
that. What
yeah,
is
yeah.
it?
So here's what we'll do. Yeah, so like if you sign up, we don't have a free trial, but you do get a 7 day back money guarantee. But we'll give you a coupon for an extra 20 credits, so that way you can try out the tool a little bit more within that first 7 days and
Okay.
get a feel for if it's the kind of thing you want.
Okay, cool. So we'll have that link below. And then basically, this is a way that when someone writes a blog article, they can use your tool to make sure that they've SEO optimized it on page as good as possible, checks the language, make sure the keyword appears everywhere it needs to, and then gives them those recommendations. And like we were talking about, if you do all of that correct, and it's not a super competitive key phrase you're going for, that might be all you need to start climbing up the ranks and even, get on page 2, get on, bottom of page 1 and escalate from there. But that on page stuff does need to be done correctly before I think a lot of the backlinks and stuff like that can even do much for you, because otherwise it's kind of like, I kind of looked at it like hashtags before, when hashtags meant something on Instagram. Like if you got likes, but you didn't have hashtags there, then those likes didn't help you rank on those hashtags. But if you have the hashtags in place, like the page optimizing, then all the likes and engagement now will help you rank on there. So like it's like doing your hashtags the proper way first before getting all that engagement.
That's correct. The other thing about it too is the better you do with your on page, the less you often need outside of the site.
Okay.
Like the worse you do, then the more you need to get there. And so it's kind of like driving a stick shift as you work the clutch and the gas. You give one more and less on the other. But
Okay.
the one thing that you control the most is your own site, the words that you're putting on. And so that is the kind of thing that you can do the most good for your site, and not have to be reliant on things outside your site, and that's the on page. So the better you do, often the less you need outside the site.
I'm doing marketing for a 7-figure supplement company right now, and I basically do everything for them. And I was getting into the analytics recently to see the conversion percentage from each source. And the source that was the highest was Google, actually. And she's got all of her, we've done all of her product pages are SEO optimized really well. So these are more buyer terms that we're trying to rank on, right? Not like, oh, what are the benefits of magnesium, but like buy
Sure.
magnesium supplement. So those convert, I want to say it was like 30 or 40% or something ridiculous last month, that like traffic that came from Google searches compared to like Facebook and Instagram were like below 5%. So finding this buyer intent traffic on the internet really is the lowest hanging fruit out there, guys. And this is a show that focuses on social media, but it's really just expanded to everything marketing over the years. And you really got to be doing everything right over time. Or, I mean, you got to figure out everything, not all at once, but, slowly add all these marketing channels. But this is a great one because there's a lot of you out there that sell some kind of product or service that there's already a bunch of people who are ready to buy it, and they don't need to see you do a dance and then be like, oh, the company's buy me. Like they don't have to see 5 reels from you to then follow you, to then catch a story where you talk about your offer. Like they're ready to buy the day that they're ready to buy. So appearing online to so that these people can readily find you, it is a much better strategy for a lot of you than even doing social media. Over time, I've like really like been kind of anti social media for a lot of reasons, just because I'm like, you're doing a very roundabout way to get clients when, they're like, yeah, but if I have 20,000 followers, they'll want to work with me. I'm like, no one consults that about their plumber before hiring a plumber. They're not like, hey, he doesn't have enough followers. I can't trust this guy. So yeah, guys, this is a great strategy that a lot of you probably need to pivot away from posting on social media so much and make sure you have these things situated. So get Page Optimizer Pro. Try that out in the description. And then I just have some questions for Kyle that I'm more curious